This week in the 740 zone, we had rivalry games across the board, and some that came right down to the wire, and others that were over in the first couple of quarters. The 740 zone starts right now. Hello there everyone, and I'm your 740 zone host Jacob Murray, and we had a big slate of week 4 opponents with rivalry games across the board. And we start off our show outside of the 740, where we saw Steubenville travel to take on the new Philadelphia Quakers in a battle of 2 ranked Division III opponents. Michael Roth has the recap from that game.
Steubenville travels to New Philadelphia in a battle of state-ranked Division III teams. First quarter, and Caden Richmond is socially distanced from the defense, walking into the end zone more than 6 feet away from any defender. Caden O'Neill then shows that he can get the job done with his legs. He turns on the Jets and he is gone. 14-0 Quakers in the first quarter. After 2 long early touchdowns, the rest of the night was dominated by the New Philadelphia defense. Steubenville finally gets a defensive stop, but a fumble gives it right back to the Quakers. That sets up a Logan Ort touchdown run as he speaks on bouncing back from a Week 3 loss.
Just bouncing back, having the key factor of never stopping, always grinding, and up front we were so sound tonight. I gotta thank my big guys; they did a great job tonight.
Defensively, the Quakers would continue to rattle the Steubenville offense. 2 second-half interceptions would hold the Big Reds scoreless as New Philadelphia makes a statement by shutting out Steubenville 31-0.
It means a lot. Steubenville's a big game for us. It's not a rivalry, to be honest. And the fact that we can shut them out, it's a big deal for us.
With both of these teams in Region 9, there's a big chance that the Big Red could get revenge later on in the season. Thanks for the good work, Michael. Now we head over to the TVC Hockey, where 2 teams would face off in the Waterford Wildcats and the Eastern Eagles, and that would have a big indication on the standings throughout the rest of the conference. Reporter Sam Wiesniff traveled out to both of these teams to check up on how they're preparing for this game.
Ready? Set. There you go.
The Eastern Eagles are hoping the familiar faces on their roster will give them a leg up this season.
You know, we had Connor right now. He's senior quarterback. He started for 4 years. You know, he knows our offense, knows everything. Our receivers now, you know, they're all upperclassmen. They know how to run routes. Last year, our running game was a lot better. This year, we're just trying to make it 50-50.
Didn't really pass the ball a lot last year. We have a lot more success this year passing the ball, so, you know, we're happy about that. But as a team, you know, 1 and 2 right now, we're not satisfied.
The Waterford Wildcats are also looking to improve their passing prowess.
Obviously, we're a running team this year. We've got the guys up front to do it, but we want to throw the ball when the opportunity is there for us.
I know our running game, that's good. Passing is what we need to work on right now. Looks like that's what Trimble did to beat Eastern, so we definitely work on that.
After the Eagles and Wildcats both reflected on their season so far, they're looking forward to this week's conference matchup.
Oh, it's going to be a tough game, definitely.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of film from them. Big, fast, you know. No, it's not going to be easy. It's gonna be a good game.
Eastern's an experienced team just like us. They got a lot of players back from last year. They look pretty good on film. It'll be a good challenge for us. We get them at home, which is exciting, so that'll be fun.
You know, we're wanting to make every game a stepping stone, and we got to get this much better. All right, and we got to get that much better next week. We're gonna get that much better. So, and that's just kind of how we're looking at it.
We'll see which team has the edge on Friday night. Reporting for the 740 Zone, I'm Sam Wiesniff.
Now we heard about how both these teams are preparing for this matchup, and let's see how it all played out on Friday night.
The Eastern Eagles coming into Waterford looking to get a historic win. This game was a defensive battle all night. First Waterford drive, Holden Daly takes the direct snap, finds a hole, gets hit, ball's free. Steve Fitzgerald jumps on it for the Eagles. Fast forward to the second quarter. Eastern ball, Blake Newland takes the carry, finds a crease, and barrels it in for the first score of the game. 7-0 Eagles. And Waterford looking to respond. Grant McCutcheon rolls to his right and is brought down in the backfield by Jaden Evans. Eastern would take the 7-0 lead into the half. Waterford would get the ball to open the second half. McCutcheon rolls to his left. He'll throw it up for grabs, and Ridenauer comes down with it for the Eagles. On the ensuing drive, Connor Ridenauer drops back to pass. He'll roll right, fires it, and it's picked off by Holden Daly. Waterford would take over. To the fourth quarter we go, still 7-0 Eagles. McCutcheon dropping back to pass, throws it up, and Ridenauer again with the pick for the Eagles. That would set up this field goal to put the Eagles up 10-0 with just over a minute to play. And on the ensuing kickoff, Jake Pandelitis fields the ball for the Wildcats. He'll find a hole, spin move, and he'll find the end zone for the Wildcats. And after a 2-point conversion, it's now a 10-8 ball game. And on the onside kick, it's Newland fielding the ball for the Eagles, and they'll hold on to win 10-8 over the Wildcats.
With the win tonight, the Eagles have beaten the Wildcats for the first time since 2014. And for the Eagles senior class, it's probably the biggest win in class history.
You know, to come up here and Waterford's a tough place to play, and you know, to gut out a win just like we did, that was great. I mean, all our kids played really hard, and we just gutted them.
Reporting for 740 Zone, I'm Zach Paquette.
This is a big win for the Eastern Eagles as they take on Belpre next week, looking to continue that momentum, while the Waterford Wildcats will look to bounce back. But it's going to be a tough opponent when they travel out to Gloucester to take on the Triple Tomcats. Thanks for the good work, Zach. Now, we head over to a TVC Ohio rivalry now, where the Nelsonville-York Buckeyes pulled off the stunner against the Vinton County Vikings on Friday night. Reporter Claire Geary has all the action from MacArthur.
The Vinton County Vikings were celebrating their annual homecoming game against the Nelsonville-York Buckeyes, which would come down to the wire at the end. The first quarter was a little slow, with lots of dirty laundry thrown onto the field against NY. With silly mistakes being made on both sides from Nelsonville-York, it gave Vinton County the upper hand. The first touchdown of the night was scored by Brock Moore on the ground, as it barely crossed the plane, but it was enough to add 6 to the board with a successful extra point. The next touchdown came from a beautiful pass thrown by Braylon Dameron to Zach Radebaugh at the end of the first half, putting them up by 2 scores.
Going into the half, the Vinton County Vikings were sitting comfortable with a score of 14-0. However, Drew Carter and company will take control of the second half and overtime to secure the win.
It was as if brand new teams had stepped onto the field going into the second half. Nelsonville-York with long passes thrown from Carter to Zach Taylor to charge down the field to put the Buckeyes into scoring position. Meanwhile, the Vikings were not working together on either side of the ball to prevent the Buckeyes from gaining momentum. The first points of the night for the Buckeyes came from Jared Justice at the end as a result of Vinton County losing chemistry on defense. An amazing and successful hook and ladder play came next from Dameron to Ethan Douglas with the scoring pitch thrown to Makai Williams that tied up the game in the fourth quarter. After a change of possession with no score from either side in overtime, Buckeyes kicker Alec Taylor put it through the goalpost to secure the win 17-14. Coach Richards mentions the successful hook and ladder in the post-game interview.
That was, we designed that. We just flipped. It used to be Brandon Phillips, so we've been working on it for a few weeks with Makai because he's new and he's been playing quarterback, so he's usually the one throwing it. So we had to get the angles on him, and we've really only practiced it probably 3 or 4 times.
The Buckeyes seem to be rolling right now. They've rattled off 2 straight victories, and they will look to continue that late-season push when they travel out to Bidwell to take on the River Valley Raiders. As for the Vinton County Vikings, they'll look for a bounce back next week at home against the Alexander Spartans. Thanks for the good work, Claire. Now we travel out to the Waverly Tigers, where we see one of the top offenses in all of southeastern Ohio. That's thanks in large part to QB Hayden Shakes and wide receiver Will Fewby. Reporter Ryan Kincaid breaks down how this dynamic duo has helped the Tigers.
Week 4 of high school football brings the toughest challenge yet to the gates of Waverly, a date with the Wheelersburg Pirates to perhaps determine the 2020 SOC2 champion. The Tigers have been successful in every game they've played, thanks to a dominant passing game unseen anywhere else in Southern Ohio.
we still run the football. We still want to be physical, but we've had a good run of skilled athletes, and sometimes you just got to do what the kind of athletes that you have. And with today's style of football, with the spread and the no huddle, it just kind of fits the kids that we have.
The tandem of Hayden Shanks and Will Futhy has been electric all year. Futhy himself posted 5 touchdowns in their Week 3 win against Lucasville Valley.
It's fun. That's the best word I can use to describe it. We know what we're good at, and we're not going to do anything we're not, so we take that when we attack teams with what we know will win.
Against stiff competition in Week 1, Waverly again relied on the aerial attack to best the Granville Blue Aces in a stormy classic.
It's not planned. We got to the game, everyone's getting the ball. That's our mindset. There's no, you're getting the ball more, he's getting the ball more. It's just, we get our matchups and we go and attack them from what we know is best for us to win. So.
For all their accomplishments, Futhy credits one teammate for his success, his senior quarterback.
He's a really good kid. He's probably the best quarterback I've seen in this area for a long time. He's just smart, and now with him being a little more mobile, he's did pretty well this year, and I'm pretty excited to see what his future has.
The big question heading into Friday night, what would Futhy and the rest of the Tigers do against a Wheelersburg squad that they haven't beaten in over 14 years? Reporter Ryan Kincaid has the recap from the game.
A showdown with the undefeated Wheelersburg Pirates and an SOC clash to potentially determine the SOC2 championship. Immediately, both teams dazzled with their preferred offenses, Berg on the ground and Waverly through the air. This was a hard-hitting, clean, back-and-forth game of football, reminiscent of the old heavyweight boxing bouts of the 70s and 80s, trading blows until the very end when one giant had to fall. Time after time, the Pirates fought to tie the game, only for Waverly to take the lead again. Up until the final kick of the game, Waverly sat in control of the contest until the end of regulation.
And what a way to end regulation. A missed chip shot field goal sent this one into overtime.
Overtime saw Wheelersburg strike first, taking their very first lead of the game. Waverly soon responded and took a bit of a risk by going for 2 to win it all. Enter Phoenix Wolf, wide open in the end zone, to hand Wheelersburg their first loss against Waverly since 2006.
Well, I was a little nervous that they were going to press me, but they just let me go in straight in, and I into the end zone, or back of the end zone. I had all the time in the world and focused on it. I knew it was going to be a battle, and we had a chip on our shoulder, and we pulled it out. It's our culture, man. We just never give up. We're going to fight till the last minute, last second of the game. Even if we're getting beat, we're going to fight till the end and pull out a victory.
Waverly move on to play Minford on the road next week, and Wheelersburg will look to regroup and protect home turf against Lucasville Valley.
With this win for the Tigers, they have taken over the SOC2, while Wheelersburg will look to bounce back as they head into the playoffs. Thanks for the good work, Brian. Now, we saw one wide receiver QB duo earlier on in the show, and there's another one out in Vincent. The Warriors have one of their own. Reporter Nick Veland shows us who they are and how they've played well so far this season.
The Warren Warriors' 3-1 record on the season has tied to the 7-2 connection. Quarterback Kurt Taylor and wide receiver Evan Gandy, both named on the first team All-Southeast District last year, rode that momentum to start their senior season. But this connection started way before these honors.
We started playing baseball together and basketball together real young, and then it really, we started in sophomore year, and then junior year it really took off and still going.
Dependability is something that all quarterbacks look for in a wide receiver, and this bond helps make an easy choice when there's a hard play.
Over our high school career, it's always good whenever you know that you have somebody of his ability that can always bail you out whenever things are going tough. You can just look to that guy and know that he's going to go make a play.
With a weird offseason with COVID restrictions, it may be hard for some teams to sync up with their players. But even with the restrictions, they've been reliable since week 1.
Time you can trust a guy to run a play and know or call a play, and you know it's going to be executed properly. That's what you want, because sometimes you'll call, and there's years where you call plays sometimes you're not sure if you're going to get the result you've schemed up or not, and with those two, you pretty much know when you call their number, they're going to give themselves a chance to be successful.
These two have brought the team to have a winning mentality that will last for years to come.
With 2 wins under our belt, 2 years ago, that was our win total that we had for the whole season. So to have that in 3 games, we're pretty confident against 3 solid opponents. So we're just going to keep trying to put wins on the board, get a good playoff spot, and go from there. What they do as individuals on and off the field is all you can ask for from a coach.
The type of kids you want to put the face of your program with, and so we're really proud of them, how they handle themselves off the field. And then on the field, they're just playmakers. They kind of are in sync with each other and know where each other's going to be, and it's a really blessing as a coach to have them.
Nick Veland, 740 Zone.
With a 41-0 win over Meigs, it's clear that this team is playing with a lot of confidence right now, and that stems from that dynamic duo running the offense. Thanks for the good work, Nick. Now we head over to one of the best matchups of the week coming out of the FAC, where we saw two unbeaten teams heading into this one in the Miami Trace Panthers and the Jackson Ironmen. This head-to-head matchup would determine a lot for the conference, and reporter Will Price comes to us from Jackson Alumni Stadium with all the action from an exciting game on Friday night.
Jackson versus Miami Trace. Both teams 3-0. This could be the biggest matchup in the FAC this year. Down 7-0 early. Panthers have the ball on a 3rd and long. Weston Melvin rolling right. He's going to look deep for Josh Gilmore, and he makes an incredible play on the ball there to come down with that one and move the chains. 2 plays later, Melvin drops back over the middle this time to Gage Miller. Finds him. That's 6 points. 7 all. Ensuing kickoff, Jackson fumbles. In the very next play, Melvin going deep, and he hits Gilmore in stride on that one. Jackson down now, 14-7. Miami Trace gets the ball back. But here, pass goes off the receiver's hands and into the arms of Drew Bragg. Big turnover there, and the Ironmen would capitalize. Evan Spires forced to play quarterback due to injury, and he's going deep on this one, and he'll find his man, Tristan Prater. 14 all at the end of the first quarter. Let's jump ahead to the second here, where Spires going over the middle this time to Traylon Davis, the big tight end. That's his first touchdown of the year. It would be 20-14 Ironmen at the break.
Only a 6-point game at halftime. It could have gone either way, but Jackson came out firing and took control on both sides of the ball in the second half.
The Ironmen looking to extend the lead in the third quarter, and that's exactly what they do. Here's Spires over the middle to Holden Blankenship, makes the grab, makes a move, and finds the end zone. 27-14 after that. They would not take their foot off the gas. Here on a 4th down later on in the quarter, Spires evading pressure, going for Prater, and what a grab by the junior receiver. His 3rd touchdown on the day. Spires 4th through the air, but they get it done on the ground a little too. Here in the 4th quarter, it's Hunter Webb breaking tackles and then winning the foot race to the end zone. That was his 2nd touchdown on the day and the final one for Jackson. They would win 48-14. After the game, Tristan Prater said his team has the utmost confidence in Spires under center.
I absolutely trust Evan. I trust both my quarterbacks with all my heart. They do the same thing. They're just as good.
Jackson improves to 4-0 on the season, and they will have their final home game of the year next week against Hillsborough. While Miami Trace will look to bounce back against the Chillicothe Cavaliers, who are 3-0 so far in conference play, so it'll be a good matchup in that one. Thanks for the good work, Will. Now we head over to our game of the week, as voted on by the fans, the Philo Electric, the Sheridan Generals. A big matchup for the top of the MVL was coming at you on Friday night. Our reporter Joe Collins was there to recap it all from Thornville.
A battle between the 2 and 3 seeds in the MVL as Sheridan plays host to Philo. Philo would get on the board early as Carson Kern steps in front of Josh Orion's pass and takes this one back for the pick 6. 7-0 Electrics. First play of the second quarter. Watch Tyler Talbot, number 82. First he blocks like it's a run, but then peels off into a crossing route and is all alone to make the grab for the TD. Tie game. Sheridan continues to dominate this year on the ground as Jason Munyon takes the handoff, rips off the tackler, and now it's a foot race. And he will finally be wrestled down at the 14-yard line, a gain of 53 yards. Munyon caps off his drive with a 10-yard run, including hitting the juke button on his controller. Sheridan will go to the half up 21-7. In the second half, after utilizing their run game, this allowed the Generals to open up their play-action pass and carve the Electrics up through the air.
So it's execution. My offensive coordinator does a fantastic job. My receivers coach, of course, it starts up front. I wish somebody had me mic'd up. I mean, Stored Rivals does about when I'm praising the offensive line, when you watch us just move in the line of scrimmage. That's beautiful. The quarterback can stand back there and just throw it and pick his guy. Having Logan Ranft helps at wide receiver.
The Generals scored 42 unanswered in the second and third quarter, and they used that dominance to take this victory 42-14 and move to 4-0. This sets them up with a huge game against Tri-Valley next week to decide the MVL title.
It's why you play. It's why you're in the weight room in February. It's two programs that have been there, done that for, let's be honest, decades. And it's exciting, and we respect them immensely, but we want to beat them. And we want to know that we win. We don't want it to be something that's fortunate or accident or something like that. It's everything that you work for, everything that you want. It's a playoff game, except it's happening in week 4.
As Joe just mentioned, the MVL will come down to the battle between Sheridan and the Tri-Valley Scotties. And this is a game that will have big implications on not only that, but the postseason, as both teams are ranked top 15 in Division III, and it should be a heck of a matchup. Thanks for the good work, Joe. Now we head over to Johnstown, where we saw 2 undefeated teams go at it, and it was exactly what you would expect from a game of this magnitude. Johnstown-Monroe and Heath battled it out, and reporter Nick Veland has more.
Johnstown, Ohio is where we set the scene for this one, where the Heath Bulldogs took on the Johnstown Johnnies. First possession, Heath able to force a fumble, gives them some momentum, and Heath will take advantage of this with a long touchdown run, which opens the floodgates in the first half. Heath then goes back on defense and forces another fumble. More momentum allows QB Dane Hogue to drive the Bulldogs down the field and score a touchdown to put Heath up 14-0. Johnstown, needing to find the board, finds what they need late in the first quarter, as after a long drive, they find the end zone. Heath to give the ball right back to them and gives them another long drive down the field, and now we have a 14-13 score. The Bulldogs now, with Dane Hogue in the pocket, finds Peyton Lee's downfield for the 40-yard touchdown run, puts them back up 21-13. Johnnies, with time winding down in the first half, Wes Myers gets into the end zone and is tied at 21 going into the second.
Really, I thought we came out of the gates pretty fast, but it wasn't like that. With jumping out to an early lead there, it wasn't like they were not moving the ball. They were moving the ball up and down the field, and we happened to have a couple guys step up and make cause a fumble. But other than that, I mean, they were moving the ball, so we knew they were ready to go.
First half, which was a high-octane offense, but that was not the case in the second.
Defense came to play in the second as the end zone was hard to find. But here we go late in the fourth quarter, still tied at 21. Hogue gets the snap, hands it off to Xavier Purrier, finds the opening, breaks tackles, and finally the end zone is found in the second half. The Bulldogs lead 28-21. The Johnnies have just enough time now to score and force overtime. Interception here will give the Bulldogs the ball and the win. Heath remains undefeated on the season. Final score, Heath 28, Johnstown 21.
After that win, Heath remains undefeated on the season and look to continue that into next week when they take on Zanesville. Thanks for the good work, Nick. Now we head to our last game in our Week 4 coverage. Bloom-Carroll Bulldogs have been dominant to start the season, outscoring their first 3 opponents 75-7. They will travel out to Logan to take on the Chieftains, and reporter Jacob Mata was there to recap on all the action.
Logan was looking to pick up their first win against an undefeated Bloom-Carroll powerhouse, but the Bulldogs got things rolling early in this game. Quarterback KJ Benedict found number 21 Drew Angelo in the back of the end zone on 4th and 19 for a 26-yard touchdown reception, making the game 7-0 early in the first quarter. Fast forward a few drives, and Anthony Clark jumps Ian Frazier's pass and intercepts it, giving his team great field position. After multiple defensive stands from both teams, Nate Swafford ended up in the right place at the right time and intercepted Frazier's pass off a tip from his teammate. Though the offense did not capitalize after the interception, after a few hard hits from the defense, Benedict found Bo Wisecarver in the end zone for an 18-yard touchdown pass, making the score 14-0. Later in the third quarter, Carroll was threatening to score again, but ended up settling for a field goal attempt, which was blocked, thus keeping Logan's hopes alive. The defense then came up big again for Logan after the offense had a 3-and-out, this time in the form of Mason Linton jumping on a Bloom-Carroll fumble. That hope the Chieftains had was short-lived after Wisecarver intercepted Frazier's pass in the back of the end zone, making the final of this contest 14-0 in favor of Bloom-Carroll. Logan was threatening to score late in this game, but Bo Wisecarver sealed the deal with his second interception of the night in the back of the end zone. Here's what his coach had to say about his performance.
Yeah, no, Bo played great. Bo played amazing. Early in the game, he got a knee, was kind of banged up early, but that must have sparked his fire because, I mean, 2 big interceptions, a couple big runs late in the game here to kind of help us run out the clock. A kid who last year played corner for us, didn't play much offense. We moved into safety, put him on the offensive side of the ball, and had a great year.
Reporting for 740 Zone, I'm Jacob Mata.
The Logan Chieftains defense did all that it could in this one, but it just wasn't enough. They'll look to get their first win of the year next week when they take on the Logan Elm Braves. And as for bloom-carroll, they will go to another winless opponent in Fairfield Union. Thanks for the good work, Jacob. Now that'll end our show here from the 740 Zone. Be sure to catch up on all of our content during midweek, and be sure to look out for another poll for next week's Game of the Week for Week 5. And I'm your host, Jacob Murray, signing off.